There is a number attached to you right now that you have never once seen. It isn't your bank balance, it's closer to a price tag, the one the entire UK economy has quietly stuck to the back of your head, and it updates constantly, silently, whether you're paying attention or not. As you sit there, some committee of employers, recruiters, and hiring spreadsheets has looked at everything you can do, weighed it against everything everyone else can do, and landed on a figure. That figure is why your last job offer said what it said. It's why your pay rise was the size it was and not a penny more. And almost nobody in Britain has ever been shown the back room where that number gets calculated, let alone which levers move it up. In this video, we are breaking into the back room, because once you understand how the price actually gets set, not how you wish it got set, not how your nan told you it worked, but how it genuinely works, getting ahead stops feeling like a locked door and starts looking like something closer to a pricing error you're allowed to exploit. No promises that you'll get rich. Anyone promising you that is a man selling timeshares. Just the mechanics of how you're valued, why the numbers land where they do, and the handful of habits that quietly nudge your price in the right direction. Let's go shopping. Here's the frame for the whole video, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The economy is a giant shop. You wander around it every day as a customer, buying coffees, meal deals, the occasional deeply regrettable thing at 11 p.m. But here's what most people never clock. While you're shopping, you're also stock. You are an item on a shelf, and the shop, with total indifference to your feelings, prices you exactly the way it prices everything else, which means the first thing we have to kill is the belief that the shop pays for effort. It doesn't. The shop does not care how hard you tried, how early you got up, or how much you personally suffered to learn something. There is no premium sticker that says, "Worked really hard, bless him." The shop prices you on one thing and one thing only: how many people can do what you do versus how many people want it done. That's it. That's the entire formula. Rare and wanted goes up. Common and optional goes down. And right now, the British shop is in a genuinely strange mood, because it's short-stocked on the stuff it needs most. Around more than 3/4 of UK employers say they're trying to hire and simply can't find the right people. Around 1 in 4 hard-to-fill vacancies are hard to fill for a single reason: the applicants don't have the skills, full stop. And roughly 2/3 of bosses now admit that specialist skills directly change how much they're willing to pay. So the only question that matters is which shelf you're standing on, and there are two. Shelf 1 is the reduced to clear shelf, the yellow sticker shelf. You know the one, the sad little trolley by the exit where the economy quietly slaps 40% off labels on things that used to be full price. Skills end up here for two reasons. The first is that everyone has them. If a thing is genuinely common, if the queue of people who can do it stretches out the door and round the car park, the shop has no reason to pay up for it, because there's always someone behind you willing to do it for less. That's not cruelty, that's just what abundant means. The second reason is more modern, and it's where people panic and make the wrong move. A skill also gets marked down when it suddenly becomes something you can buy for less than a Netflix subscription. Whole categories of work that used to take a trained human an afternoon can now be done by a tool you download in the time it takes to make a cup of tea. And when the £9 a month version of a task exists, the human who only does that one task gets quietly wheeled over to the yellow sticker trolley. Now, most people look at that and conclude the safe play is to run away, to avoid the shiny new tools entirely, keep their head down and hope the whole thing blows over like a bad haircut. This is precisely the wrong instinct, and the pay data proves it. Job adverts that ask for digital skills pay noticeably more than identical adverts that don't. One big study of UK vacancies put the gap at around 6% for basic digital ability and nearly 9% for the advanced stuff for the same job title. Push up to the frontier, the people who can actually wield AI and security skills rather than fear them, and it gets almost silly. One analysis that combed through more than 1 billion job ads found roles demanding real AI skills advertising over 1/3 more in pay, a premium that had roughly tripled in a single year. Across the whole market, advertised wages went up about 7.5% last year. In tech, they went up 9%. So the tool didn't come for your job, it came for the boring tasks inside your job, and it left behind a fat premium for anyone willing to point it somewhere clever. The person on the good shelf isn't the one hiding from the software, it's the one using it to do the work of 3 people while looking suspiciously well rested. Whatever your field is, the move is the same. Become genuinely fluent in the tools that are eating it, not scared of them, not pretending they don't exist. The confident one at the self-checkout, not the one 4 items in going, "Unexpected item in the bagging area," at a volume that summons a supervisor. Shelf 2 is the good shelf, the behind-the-counter shelf. The stuff's so scarce the shop keeps it locked in a glass cabinet like it's a bottle of 40-year-old whiskey, or in some corner shops, a packet of razor blades. What lives back there? The work that refuses to be turned into a checklist. Because the instant a task can be written down as a tidy list of steps, its price starts sliding toward the yellow trolley. Anything that becomes a rule book eventually becomes cheap, so the stuff that holds its value is the stuff that stays gloriously unrulebookable. Judgment, persuasion, the ability to walk into a room where 4 people flatly disagree and walk back out with an actual decision instead of a follow-up meeting. And British employers are practically begging for this out loud. When UK recruiters were asked what they were most desperate for, nearly 4 in 10 said critical thinking and problem solving, the ability to take a vague, tangled, badly explained mess and turn it into a plan. Not follow the instructions, but work out which instructions are even worth following. Right behind it came the things we used to sneer at as fluffy: emotional intelligence, the knack for working across departments instead of hiding in your own, the rare talent of explaining a complicated thing to someone who doesn't share your jargon. These sound soft, they pay hard, because they're exactly what doesn't get cheaper, doesn't get commoditized, and can't be downloaded in an afternoon. Here's why it matters in cold terms. As the routine stuff gets cheaper, and it is, fast, the value in any organization floats upward toward the small handful of people who decide what all that cheap capacity should be aimed at. You want to be one of the aimers, and the aimers are almost never the most technically dazzling person in the building. They're the person who can hold the technical picture in one hand and the human picture in the other, and translate between the two, which, if you've ever sat through a meeting where the tech team and the sales team spoke what sounded like 2 entirely different languages, you'll know is a genuinely rare superpower. That translation seat is one of the last truly defended positions in a modern career. Now for the trick that quietly mints so many of the people who get ahead, and it's the one you have the most control over, no talent required. Everyone is taught to chase one impressive skill, become an amazing coder, become a brilliant designer. Fine, except there's a snack. If you go deep on one common thing, you're now elbow to elbow with every other common person on the planet. You've made yourself the sandwich in a shop absolutely stuffed with sandwiches. The far smarter move is to stop being a sandwich and become a meal deal. Follow the maths because it's beautiful. Say 1 in 50 people is solidly good at analyzing data, and say 1 in 50 is a genuinely strong communicator. The person who is decently good at both isn't 1 in 50 anymore, they're roughly 1 in 2,500. You didn't have to become the best in the country at anything, you just had to be reliably good at 2 things that almost never turn up in the same human. You've bundled the sandwich, the crisps, and the drink into something the shop can charge more for than the 3 items sold separately, which, if you've ever done the meal deal maths at the till, you'll know shouldn't make sense, and yet here we are. And in a UK economy where employers keep moaning that their departments are silos that don't talk to each other, the person who can stand in the gap between 2 of them is worth a premium.
because they're quietly doing a job that two separate specialists somehow can't do together. The engineer who can also present, the operations person who can also read a spreadsheet without their eyes glazing over, the creative who also understands the numbers. That's not luck, that's you engineering your own scarcity on purpose, one bolt-on skill at a time. Which brings us to the thing sitting underneath all of it. The reason I've deliberately not handed you a neat list of 5 hot job titles to go and Google. Job titles rot. The exact things the shop is short of this year will look different in a few years. The country's official list of what it's desperate for gets rewritten regularly, and right now it's scrambling for everything from data specialists to the electricians wiring up the entire green energy grid. So the single most valuable thing you can own is not any one skill on today's list, it's your restock speed, how fast you can go from knowing nothing about an aisle to being usefully dangerous in it. Because in a shop that keeps changing what it's short of, the person who can learn a new section quickly never has to predict the future correctly. They just have to catch up to it faster than everyone panicking around them. And restock speed is a habit, not a gift, which is the cheerful bit buried in all this. It comes from a few deeply unglamorous behaviors done on purpose, practicing at the slightly uncomfortable edge of what you can already do rather than lovingly repolishing the stuff that's already easy, getting real feedback fast and fixing it instead of confidently rehearsing your own mistakes for a decade, and boring, unremarkable consistency, because skill is one of the very few things in life that actually compounds. 20 minutes a day pointed at the right target doesn't add up in a straight line. It bends upward quietly until one day you look suspiciously overqualified and can't remember exactly when that happened. Now, I told you at the start I wasn't going to lie to you, so here's the honest bit most of these videos skip right past. None of this is a guarantee. There is no skill on earth that promises a specific salary or a specific life, and anyone who says otherwise is back to selling you the timeshare. What these habits do isn't hand you an outcome, it's move a probability. They lift you out of that enormous queue snaking around the car park where thousands of near-identical people are fighting over the same few roles and set you down in the short queue that employers are visibly, expensively, slightly desperately struggling to fill. You're still buying a ticket, you're just buying one in the single lottery on Earth where the odds actually respond to what you do, where aiming at a real shortage and getting a little better every week measurably changes your chances, which is more than can be said for very nearly anything else you'll do with your money. And zoom out, because the position is stronger than it feels from inside. This is a country with hundreds of thousands of jobs it can't fill, whole sectors staring down shortages counted in the hundreds of thousands of missing people, and bosses openly confessing that the right skills change what they'll pay. That is not a shop that's run out of room for you. That is a shop with half-empty shelves waving money at anyone willing to become the thing it can't keep in stock. Your price was never fixed. Nobody dealt it to you at birth. You've been quietly building it your whole life without noticing, which means you can start rebuilding it right now from wherever you're standing, at any age, in any job, with the very next thing you decide to get good at. So here's where I'll leave you, with a question, because the ending is yours to write, not mine. Look at whatever you already do, then ask, what's the one skill you could bolt on that would move you off the yellow sticker shelf and behind the counter? The tool everyone's scared of and you could master. The messy human bit no checklist can capture. The second thing that would turn you from a sandwich into a meal deal. Because that one skill, the one you could start on this week, is almost always worth more than another 10 years of getting very slightly better at the thing you already do. If this rewired how you think about your own price tag, if getting ahead just went from a locked door to a maths problem you're allowed to solve, do the two things that actually keep this channel alive. Hit subscribe, because every week we take the baffling machinery of money and work and prise it apart so you can see how the gears really turn, and drop a comment with the one skill you're starting this month, not the one you wish you had, the one you're actually going to start. Say it out loud where strangers can see it. A goal you announce in public has a strange habit of turning into a thing you did. See you in the next one.